Is it this?
The physical consequences of climate change are no longer theoretical.
Global warming is happening now.
If you haven't already heard, green is not just a color, it's a verb. And we are going to green the home behind me, which belongs to Ron Marcus. And
you are staring into the face of one thing scientists say you can do to fight climate change. Leave this cow alone and eat less beef. According to
California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger is now teaming up with Florida Governor Charlie Crist to cut greenhouse gases.
Well, I think that there's still a lot of people that still think that the world is flat. But the bottom line is we know thousands and thousands of scientists have come out and said this is real. It's created by man.
A movement of the young and the unmotivated. A movement where people suddenly care about their health and others.
And the Oscar goes to An Inconvenient Truth. Davis Guggenheim.
Was it them? Whatever the cause, it started. A movement sparked a generation to take action and actually care. But are their efforts worth it? Can we really make a difference? Coal. The source of all of our problems. Or at least for two organizations, Students for Environmental Action and Beyond Coal. It's theirs. Coal provides over half the nation's electricity. So every time the house lights up, thank coal. And every time you breathe in the dirty air, thank coal again. More than 30% of global warming pollution comes from dirty coal plants. And what is SEA going to do about it? They're determined to shut down a coal plant that is about to be built. I was invited to participate in a phone bank that looked much like this. About 10 members of SEA called over 20 people each to invite them to protest a coal plant from being built in Milledgeville, Georgia. The outcome? The coal plant has been postponed, and after the legislation process, it could very well be shut down. But did it really make an impact? That's what I wanted to know. Do these organizations led by students really alter our nation and decrease global warming? The math is simple. There are about 600 coal plants in the U.S., and let's say for every organization represented by a state, they stop a coal plant from being built. That's 50 less coal plants. That's sure to have an effect on global warming if coal plants affect almost 40% of carbon emissions. But is this a good thing? How much did they actually know about what they were stopping? Not all coal is dirty. In fact, some plants are turning what is appropriately called clean coal. Clean coal plants would take carbon and store it underground, relieving the problem of carbon emissions produced by dirty coal plants.
That's the good news. Here's the problem.
There is no such thing as clean coal today.
James Hansen, NASA's expert on global warming, says all coal plants, even Tampa Electric's, still emit millions of tons of carbon dioxide, the most threatening greenhouse gas.
There's no coal plant that captures the carbon dioxide, and that's the major long-term pollutant.
But if carbon dioxide pollution is the problem with clean coal, scientists say there's a solution. They believe it's now possible to recover most of the CO2 and store it underground.
The idea is called capture and sequester, and today...
But what's stopping all the dirty coal plants from switching? The answer is what the American dream is all about. Dirty coal is cheaper than the expensive clean coal. Another option is to burn coal and pure oxygen without gasification. Germany is already ahead, trying this new form of electricity. But this could very well be triple what a power plant would cost, which means A 300 megawatt plant could cut emissions by 90%, but this would cost $1 billion to $2.5 billion. The U.S. would need almost 1,000 plants to produce the amount of power that dirty coal plants produce. So what's the alternative?
It's always been considered a so-called dirty fuel, bad for the environment. But now utilities are testing technology to try to make coal clean.
By finding cheaper ways to turn dirty coal plants into clean ones, we can lower the carbon emissions. The best way to do this, and probably the only way, is to use pre-existing coal plants as our testing sites. Well, how are we supposed to do this if they are gone? Environmentalist groups, like Greenpeace and others, are trying to tell everyone that clean coal is a scam. Ads against clean coal have already taken place.
Is regular clean clean enough for your family? Not when you can have Clean Coal Clean. Clean coal harnesses the awesome power of the word clean to make it sound like the cleanest clean there is.
Clean Coal is supported by the coal industry, the most trusted name in coal.
And we all know how influential media can be.
It's because we are moved to act by this man. Jeff Skoll.
The Obama administration recently overturned a previously canned advanced technology coal-fired power plant. The plant stores carbon emissions underground. Sounds familiar? The clean coal plant is named FutureGen. The problem is that environmentalists don't want any electricity generated from coal. People believe other sources are the answer, like wind and solar power. But can these alternatives really replace coal? Can wind and solar power be enough to run half of the nation's electricity? Some say these alternatives are not economically and technically suitable to replace coal as the primary source of electricity. And then there's this to consider.
15 million unemployed, the highest since 1939, and about a third have been long-term unemployed, 6 months or more. And in August, 27 states saw their unemployment rates increase, and 42 states saw losses in jobs. So I urge we have three alternatives.
In 2006, there was an estimated total of 160,000 employees who worked in power plants all across the United States. For every power plant shut down, someone loses their job. Environmentalists are not completely wrong in their disagreement with clean coal. Their reasoning comes from the lengthy time it takes to construct a clean plant, and then the expensive one. Remember FutureGen?
America's efforts to sequester carbon have stalled. The Department of Energy planned to fund a plant seen in this animation, but pulled its funding when the price grew too high.
Well, fiscal conservatives have nicknamed the project NeverGen for those very reasons.